This week on Grow Up Level Up Gamers Club, we're talking about this cool game called Byte Breakers, our impressions on Astro Bot and the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 beta, as well as our recommendations for the week. And we got some fun surprises today. So get ready for this week's episode of Grow Up Level Up Gamers Club.
I was ready for it this time.
I wonder if I timed that right finally. Welcome to Grow Up Level Up Gamers Club, the weekly show where we give you some of our recommendations, reviews, previews, impressions of the games you should be playing in your 5 to 9 after your 9 to 5. My name is Samson, also known online as Samson XP, and my host to my right, I believe,
on my screen it's above, but
oh, interesting. So in a certain direction, and viewer might be different when you watch it, is of course Jordan, aka Sir Dr. JM. Good evening to you, sir.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. I apologize because at first I think I spoke over top of the intro just a tiny bit there, and then I just cut you off. So apologies for that, but I'm excited to be here.
No, it's all good. It's all good. As they say, we are extremely professional podcast, no mistakes, super clean cuts, no ear bleeding video intros, that's for sure.
He says as I slowly back away to grab my coaster from the desk next to me.
And as I talk and fill time as Jordan goes and gets his coaster, I'm not sure what he was getting. This week we got a couple cool games to chat about. This one, which you can actually play right now. Surprise, Jordan. So this little game coming out from Odyssey Interactive, also known as the folks that made a game called Omega Strikers, put out a tweet yesterday and today saying, hey, we got this new project. Come try it out. It is called Byte Breakers. So the person who I saw this from was Ryan K. Rigney. I believe he's the marketing manager at Odyssey Interactive. And basically his pitch for this is come try this 40-person battle royale in the style of Smash Bros. So it is a 2D side-scrolling platform fighter, but it's a battle royale. So it is a fight to the finish, and you're fighting on this really big map, right? So classic battle royale stuff. However, the thing is, they announced this yesterday, so Wednesday, September 11th, and basically said, hey, if you're interested, if you're a content creator, if you're just a fan, hop into Discord, try this game out. We're turning on servers at 5. And then I just happened to look on Twitter at the right time and got myself a key, but I missed the servers yesterday. But today, I actually rushed home after work to make it here for 5 p.m. Pacific and got a couple games in. So, like I said, Byte Breakers, developed by Odyssey Interactive, is a battle royale in the style of Smash. Odyssey Interactive, you might have heard of their game before called Omega Strikers, which is also it is not a Smash game. It is more of like a soccer game, a MOBA style soccer game. And the cool thing about Byte Breakers is it is actually, what do you call it? It's in the same universe. So if you're watching the video version, I'm actually going to show a little bit of gameplay of what this game looks like. This is my gameplay that I recorded a short couple hours ago. And I'm playing a character called Ashen, I believe. And Ashen is similar to Ike in Smash Bros., like a heavier character with big, beefy moves, but lots of slow movements. And here's me and my duo partner, Odie Argalanth. Oh, I guess they're a dev, because I think all the devs had the ODY moniker, playing with them. That actually explains why they were so good. I just kept following them around, and they were like leading me to the right places. But if you're watching the video version, it looks like Smash Bros. You've got the health bar on the under your character there, and yes, I said health bar, like the number, because it is not actually a percentage like you would. The higher the percentage, easier to knock out. It's more of a health bar, but you can pick up items, you break boxes. Your items can either be geared to augment your character, or they could be like a bomb or plant a mine somewhere, right? But the game functions just like Smash Bros. Like you have your jump buttons, which I think they literally were X and Y on my PC controller here, my Stadia controller.
Oh, okay.
They literally were X and Y, and then B was my standard attack. I forget what they call it in Smash. And A was my special, and depending on the direction that you hold it and press it, it does a different move. So right away, I felt like I got the concept of the controls really fast.
Nice.
And then after that, it was just learning about how to navigate the map, how to get items, how to get like get around the map, get items, and how to fight other players. And I think in this game it was 2v2 or duos. So you most of the time encountered a lot of other duos, and it was interesting to try to figure out what's going on, because there's a lot of I don't know how these characters function. I don't know how they attack. There's like little terminals that you can interact with. So there's a lot of little systems in there that takes time to figure out. The one more thing that I want to shout out is, if you're watching a video version, under your character is a blue bar, and that blue bar I think is like a special gauge.
Oh, okay. I thought that was your health.
No, yeah, that's where it got confusing, because I thought it was health at first. The health is the number. The blue bar is more, I guess, like a mana bar.
I gotcha.
Or I guess in fighting games, it's like your special
your charge bar kind of thing.
Yeah, your charge bar.
Yeah,
and you get it by collecting different items or beating up the
damage.
Getting damage, doing damage. There's like NPCs you can fight to build that up. And once you have a section, and not all the bars are unlocked at the beginning of the game, but once you have a section filled, you can hold the left trigger and then do one of your direction attacks or your special attacks, and you'll do a powered up version of it.
Okay.
So that's kind of like you can use that strategically in your fights. Like maybe you're chasing someone, and then you use your right special, and since it's a little more powerful, you close the gap and you're able to hit them, kind of thing.
Very interesting.
In a nutshell, that's pretty much Byte Breakers. It's very much Smash as a battle royale. The game feels very good. Like I was playing just online, and I guess the servers are in North America, but I thought the hit registration was super snappy. I never felt like my inputs were lagging at all. So that felt really good. I will say, though, it's a little confusing, like what attack is what, because I guess I don't know the characters very well yet. And also I found the icons a little small. Okay. So it was kind of hard to see, especially in a big fight, like who's attacking what. So I end up doing the fighting game thing of mashing buttons until something happens. But the game feels really good. Like if you do a 1v1 with someone off to the side, like you guys will hit each other pretty consistently and all that. It is a little floaty, like multiverses. Yeah. But there is a lot of depth to the system, I would say, with all the fighting stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought it was a really cool idea, really neat concept. Like, sure, they just mashed a couple different ideas before, but they executed it pretty well. So I'm kind of excited to see if this gains any traction. I think they threw this out randomly, and with the caveat that it's like, hey, we're just going to see if this does anything to the market, which is like, oh, that's interesting, because there's a lot of systems and design here that's pretty well. If you're watching the video, this section's got little checkerboard squares, so there's no texture in this part of the level. But a lot of the map and the design and the way that you collect items, like I thought it was pretty fleshed out for a hey, let's try this kind of thing. So I'm going to keep my eye on Byte Breakers. Oh, and yes, the special thing is, and if you're watching the video, you can see I accidentally took a portal that puts me out of the zone, or the storm, whatever you want to call it. Oh, and now I'm running away from it, trying to get back down.
Yeah.
So right before we recorded this episode 2, they tweeted out that they are going to open up the servers for everybody.
Oh, nice.
So now it's a public playtest. Like you can get access to it just by requesting it on Steam, and I think they'll let you in right away, and you can try the game out tonight.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. If you're watching the video part, sorry, 1 second. If you're watching the video part, I think I collided into some sort of geometry that wasn't supposed to be there, and I think I almost fall out the map. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Jordan.
That's okay. I'm enjoying this gameplay to go along with things here. So I was gonna say, I mean, I have a few thoughts. Like, one thing that you touched on there that I thought was actually really cool is if you check out the actual Steam page for this and you watch they have a video or two on the game, and one is I'm guessing it's the two main developers, but two of the guys, and they're just kind of talking about their philosophy behind the game, and they do talk about the fact that like they aren't putting this out and saying in 6 months the game is going to enter full release and everything's going to be polished and we're going to charge $20, $50, whatever for it. They very much talk about the fact that like they've built what they think is a fun, mechanically solid, exciting game to play, and they want to put it out there and see if the market sort of wants it, honestly, which is obviously, not something that you see very often, right? More often than not, games come out because, someone is making a product to sell and is hoping it will, make some waves and that kind of thing. So it's really kind of an interesting methodology behind this that they have, and they do talk about their previous release, and I think they kind of touch on the fact that they spent a lot of time developing that and doing all of that, and they kind of put themselves in a spot where they had to release it because it was far enough along that there was no turning back, essentially, and it would all just be kind of wasted if they didn't. So I do find that interesting because it seems to me like they've built something here. They use characters from their previous game and everything like that. It's kind of in universe. And it seems like in some ways it's kind of a different take on how to make a game, right? Someone like Xavier Nelson, who's pretty big in the games industry and has kind of made a living out of building indie games, but on a small scale, where they can support them, they can build a product, they can put it out with a relatively quick turnaround. And it kind of reminds me of that. Like it's a bit of an experiment, but overall, watching the gameplay and everything here, watching you play, I think it does look fun as someone who enjoys Smash. I'm curious if it does have some of the depth that I think a lot of people don't necessarily realize that Smash has. Now, obviously, you make a Smash-like game. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you're pretty ingrained in Smash. You probably have a good idea of the depth in those games. But it's also funny, you mentioned some things like sometimes it being hard to follow what's on the screen, and obviously very large map when there's a lot going on. Could kind of tell from your gameplay, the camera kind of pulls back a lot and your characters become really, really tiny. And it's funny because that is something that ever since, I think it was the Smash on Wii U.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was literally called Super Smash Brothers for Wii U. I think that was the first one they released where they had 8-player multiplayer.
That's right. Yeah.
And I always hated, like, me and my friends would play, and sometimes we would just do, 4 NPCs with 4 actual players. But sometimes I remember, getting together for New Year's Eve parties, and we would have 8 people constantly playing and, just rotating out. And I always felt like, oh my God, when you get that many people, you get lost. And especially if, 7 of you are fighting over here and one of you goes way to the other side of the map and then the camera pulls back to show everything. You can barely tell what's going on. So I do wonder, how that is really going to work. If it will have that sort of similar problem when you're dealing with even more people than 8 players. Mm-hmm. But overall, yeah, I think it's a really interesting sort of experiment and idea. I dig the art style a lot. The sort of hype trailers and character art that they've released and stuff like that, kind of really speaks to me. I'm excited for that. I didn't get a chance to play, even though you did also get me into the beta, which was much appreciated. But I'm glad to hear that they're opening it up. And if my wife isn't using the good computer, then perhaps I can hop on afterwards. So
yeah. No, it's I want to bring up what you were saying with their release strategy. It kind of reminded me of something like a lot of games are like, hey, we're releasing this, costs money, it's free or whatever, it'll last a certain amount of months and then we'll see where it goes. The way they release this as an experiment and to see if there's a market for it reminds me of like when startup developers or programmers just make a program, maybe based off of something, maybe solving a problem that they had on their own, release it out and seeing if there's a market for it, and then considering charging money for it or building on it more until they feel comfortable charging money for it.
Yeah.
So it's a very startup-y way of releasing something.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. So that's cool. One want to bring that up one more because Ryan K. Sorry, I lost his last name. Ryan K. Rigney, who I believe is the marketing director, actually put out an article last week called "Disastrous Game Launches Are Avoidable."
Okay.
So this article, which I will put in our required reading and in the description below, called
Concord.
"Disastrous Game Launches Are Avoidable." Definitely about the hot topic of the games industry this week. Concord shutting down like last Friday, I guess. And just talking about how like a couple points that we touched on, like, is there even a market for this? And he argues that it's better to put out a game in an early broken state to see if like people care and to help beta test that than to build, and in the end nobody really wants it, which was kind of the issue with Concord. But yeah, I highly recommend everyone check this article out. It's just kind of funny because he put this out last week and now this week he puts out Byte Breakers as this. It's not even a beta test. It's like a trial run.
Yeah,
right?
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So that was pretty interesting series of events, but I think it's been on his mind for a while. So it sounds like this might be a new thing going forward for some game companies, or maybe this is just a one-off and this company could afford to do something like this because it does cost dev hours and money to develop something like this.
Yeah. And I mean, touching on what you were talking about there, that article is on pushtotalk.gg, by the way. But like Samson said, it'll be in the description. But it's interesting because, this also isn't the first time people have done this. I mean, obviously I mentioned Xavier Nelson and sort of the way he runs studios and has had success doing that. I believe one of his studios just released a game called
I Am Your Beast.
There it is. I was like, something about a beast. Yeah. And it's, for all intents and purposes, getting really rave reviews. People say that, mechanically it's just a blast to play. But I was going to say, there have been other cases. If I'm not mistaken, I think the story behind Five Nights at Freddy's was it was released as sort of a test, and it wasn't a horror jump scare game, but you were kind of exploring this environment or whatever. And I don't remember who, but some YouTuber or something was playing the demo, the trial that they had released. And then they made a comment that the character models looked like freaky mascots out of Chuck E. Cheese. And the developer heard that and then basically rebuilt the game to entirely riff off that. And now, I mean, look at Five Nights at Freddy's, right? There's how many iterations?
Multi-million
it's literally
dollar
just had a movie made, and there's a second one coming. So, like, these things can, I mean, like Ryan K. Rigney says, these kind of disastrous launches can be avoidable. So, yeah.
Byte Breakers, definitely an interesting way to launch a game, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes.
Me too.
A couple tweaks. I guess my wants for this game to get me to come back is just tweak the graphics a little bit so things are a little more clear. Like I thought a little bit of the combat got lost in the mix, but that just might be a flaw with the entire genre. Yeah, like you were saying with the 8-player Smash, it did feel like that at certain points.
One thing actually I noticed in your gameplay that I wonder if it's in an effort to combat that is you had that little kind of pink paw above your character the whole time, little paw print icon. That reminded me a lot of World of Warcraft, which for those of you that don't know, I played World of Warcraft for 5, 6, 7 years at one point in my life. I don't anymore. But when you were raiding dungeons, whatever, partied up, you can assign like a little icon like that on mobs, friendly targets, whatever you want. And it really is meant to just be like, this is something that looks very out of place, so everyone can identify what it is attached to. And I wonder if that little paw icon is something that is meant for the player to easily be able to say, there's my character. That's where I am. That's kind of the center of the action for me because I'm controlling that. So anyway, sorry, just something I noticed.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Yeah, I, when I played Diablo 4 a couple months ago, that was one of the first things I turned on was like highlight my character green.
Oh,
so
right.
or whatever, so I can like see where they are all the time, because that's a very dark
Get
game.
lost in the action. Yeah.
Yeah, and that would be good because there's no skins in the game yet and all that. So like in the gameplay clip, like there were two Astions at one point. I just didn't know which one was mine. So I look at one part of the screen and I'm on the left. I'm like, oh, whoops. Gets mixed up. But it's exciting. It is something that I like to. I love Smash. Battle Royales I also really like. The loop is fun. So I'm looking forward to trying it again. One more positive I want to end on is that the games were relatively short. Like I think I played about 5 or 6 games, and they were all like 5 to 10 minutes each. I haven't won a game yet, of course, because it's pretty tough. We're playing against devs and probably people have been playing all day. But yeah, I remember like hopping into a game, and then within like 3 minutes, I got kit, and I'm finding another team to fight.
Okay.
And then I think the longest one, the one where I got 6th place in the video clip earlier, I think that was my longest game, and that was still just a hair under 10 minutes. So if you're looking for like something fast to get in and out of, like this is a very fast-paced game. So that's Byte Breakers by Odyssey Interactive. Audience, if you plan on checking this game out, which you can at the time of this recording, and probably tomorrow as well, hopefully when this audio or when this podcast goes live, definitely check it out on Steam. Just request the playtest, and you should be able to get in right away and check it out. Let us know what you think. Write in or comment on this video below, because I think this game has potential, but we'll see what the devs do with it, because it seems like they're building it with the community, or at least that is the goal that they have. Cool. Awesome. Moving on to more impressions. Last week we kind of hinted at it. Last week was the release date, the release date of this little game called Astro Bot. I almost said Rescue Mission.
You always want to add the subtitle, right?
Yeah. Astro Bot on PlayStation 5 just came out last week, and Jordan has been playing it for a week. I only got the game yesterday, so I've only had one night of playing. But 1 weekend, I'm not finished the game yet, obviously. Jordan, what do you think of Astro Bot so far?
Before I jump right in there, how far are you?
Trying to avoid spoilers, but I would say, I just beat the first world. I just beat the first world. Yeah, the
first area.
World. Yeah, the first like
galaxy thing.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's a spoiler. This game has a lot of space themes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and that's something that I was going to say is like, obviously I only have so much playtime, so I could be a lot farther than I am now, and certainly I would be if I had just been playing it as much as I want to, but. I have finished, and when I say finished, I mean every collectible, whatever, 100% run so far through the first galaxy thing, the second one as well, and then over the course of that, there are many secrets and discoveries you will make, and I've done a number of those as well. So without getting too spoilery, and that's kind of one of the big things that I don't want to do is spoil a lot of what there is in this game, because to me, that's really kind of been the secret sauce behind this game, and what's really, I think, made at least my experience so much fun and so enjoyable. I think online, I mean, by all means, the game has been getting, glowing reviews and everything like that. All sorts of people making comparisons about the joy it brings. And I can't remember who it was, but someone tweeted that it might have been Per Schneider from IGN said that it's the equivalent of running through a pile of leaves when you were a child.
Wow.
Yeah, it's that feeling of joy and just having fun for no reason kind of thing. And I really feel that. And to me, this secret sauce that it kind of has is that sense of discovery and that sense of secrecy that is like around any turn or any corner, or in the world map, you might come across something, you might find a little detail, and you go and interact with that, and surprise, you have a whole new level to play. and it kind of does some whatever animation, whatever happens, character does something, and it unlocks something for you. And to me, it's funny because it's such a different genre from an open world game, a Breath of the Wild, an Elden Ring, where that's something people often talk about, right? Is the sense of exploration, the sense of the unknown. You can go in any direction, you can go wherever you want, and you're going to find something in every corner, and that kind of thing. It's a completely different genre because this is obviously a platformer, and by all means a very kid-friendly platformer, but it still has that sense of discovery of, hey, that looks cool. I'm going to go do something with it and see what happens. And in some cases, if you're in the middle of a level, it might just, give you a coin for doing that. It might just interact in a funny way. If it's a mushroom, you punch it or you step on it and it glows, kind of thing. But it's just, there's some small detail or interactivity in just almost everything that it really is that kind of exciting feeling, just like exploring an open world. And then on top of that, all these little things that happen remind me of things that, you'd play a Mario game or whatever other game when you were a child. You'd come across some secret and you'd go to school the next day and you couldn't wait to tell your friends about this thing that you found or how you got that to happen or how you found that. And it's really kind of this sense of discovery and awe that I've been enjoying so much. And yeah, so those are my initial impressions. I love it, if you can't tell. So
it's good. It brings back those childhood memories of,
it does.
Of stuff is new and you're discovering stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
no, I echo everything that you're bringing up. There's the game is beautiful. It feels beautiful too, like with the way the DualShock shakes in your hand and all the little clicks and stuff. It makes you immersed in a different way.
Yeah,
I feel. But the star of the show is definitely like the not hide and seek. Yeah, like the treasure Easter egg hunting of everything.
Easter eggs, definitely.
Yeah, like checking the corners, solving the little puzzles, solving big puzzles, and like little combat challenges. That is all just fun and a pleasure. And when you do beat it or figure it out, there's such a sense of like accomplishment that you want to keep going. And just everything's so nice to look at and impressive to look at that. Yeah, it just makes you want to keep playing.
Yeah.
I think the closest comparison I can draw to personally is Mario Odyssey. So looking for the moons, but I think for this one with the IP crossover, that has made the searching like a little more fun.
Oh yeah.
And you're not looking for just like a moon, you're looking for these little characters that'll react to you and that you have to smack to collect. So it's such a joy to play, and it's just in a time where it's like Helldivers and you're trying to fight off enemies,
Helldivers and Diablo
and Elden Ring,
Elden Ring,
this
it's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, definitely. I'm usually more drawn to these cartoony, silly games anyway. So I was like, this is the one AAA game I get to buy this year.
And the funny thing is, like, I don't know. I struggle to think of the last time I played like a true platformer and just enjoyed it this much on all fronts, kind of thing. When I really kind of think about it, like Ratchet and Clank comes to mind, the Rift Apart on PlayStation 5, which I know a lot of people often call it a platformer. Sometimes they'll say action platformer, adventure platformer, that kind of thing. For me, it's funny because Ratchet and Clank has never really been a platformer. It is more about the action, the adventure. It's about blowing stuff up, which, like, yeah, there's some blowing stuff up in Astro Bot, but it is a different genre from that. And I'm a huge fan of Ratchet and Clank too. So, but yeah, you're right. The that little touch of the PlayStation IP that they have just everywhere in this game, and obviously, the whole shtick behind the game is you're rescuing the Astro Bots, and some of them are themed after different PlayStation games.
Well, I mean, you're
not even PlayStation
plot.
games.
Yes.
Well, the entire plot of the game is about literally the PlayStation 5. Like, and I think maybe that's a part of why it's so interesting and so cool. You've never seen Mario games have never been about building a GameCube or a Wii U or a Switch or anything like that. It does feel like kind of a novel idea that they've taken the literal hardware of the PlayStation 5, and they did this with the with Astro's Playroom, the built-in game with your PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
It made a game out of exploring the PlayStation 5, and this just feels like, they took that idea and they just ran with it, and they really expanded upon it, which is so cool. And then, of course, that kind of ties in the PlayStation-ness of it all, or even just the gamingness of it all, because I think that's something that I hadn't considered, or really seen in a lot of the coverage, was that it's not just PlayStation. This game is very much in a similar way as Super Smash Brothers. It's a celebration of games in general. There are characters that are not exclusive to PlayStation, from many different developers that you'll find in this game. And, I don't even want to spoil any of them, because it is very exciting when, as someone who is a student of the game, if you will, it is very exciting when you play a main level and you come across some character that you go, oh my God, I had no idea they'd be in this. Or not even a main level. You find one of those secret levels that I was talking about, and they may be very small. Some of them are, to the point of like it's 2 or 3 little platform areas. And at the end of it, you find a character that is, again, not PlayStation at all, right? Yeah, obviously these games have been on PlayStation platforms, but they're also on other platforms, and they are icons of gaming in general. So very exciting on that front. I think I have 100, I have like 120 bots collected at this point.
Okay.
And I think of the special characters, I think there's maybe been one that I didn't know. And that,
okay.
that makes me bragging rights right now. Makes me proud that I know
Student
that.
of the game.
Exactly. But yeah, I can't wait to get back in, find other characters. Obviously there's some that I love, that I am excited to find, but then some of them have just caught me completely off guard. Characters that I love, but I had no idea I could expect them in this game. So
yeah, your comparison to Smash, which is hilarious because this is the second time Smash Bros has come up in this episode. That's a pretty good call, because it's a mashup of a lot of different IPs, but it's a celebration of a lot of different. And IPs is like the business way of saying it, of these characters that we spend so much time with. So yeah, like I've been surprised a couple times, and then recognizing them and all that, I'm like, oh, I have been playing on PlayStation for such a long time now. Yeah. I've always considered myself a Nintendo guy because I've owned mostly Nintendo systems, but like since I think I only skipped the PS2. I've owned every Sony thing. Yeah, which is funny, right? PS2 is the most popular one.
Yeah, for most people, for sure.
That was the one that my parents were like, oh, that's where all the Grand Theft Autos are. We're not getting that. But like I've played a lot of these games, and I recognize a lot of these characters, and especially the older ones. I'm like, oh, this is like, this is also a part of my gaming
your DNA
history. My gaming DNA, just right beside like Mario and Zelda as that kind of stuff. So I think this is Sony getting their flowers, and well deserved so. And what a better way to do it in this cheeky meta way where we're trying to rebuild the PS5.
Yeah, man, that's it. It honestly, I avoided as much coverage of this game as possible as I could, because I was excited for it. And then obviously when everyone started, glowing about it, I was like, okay, I'm not going to look into it. I want to be surprised. So I actually didn't really know the basic plot of the game. So when you do start it up, and the PS5 is a literal spaceship in the game, like, and that's first 3 seconds of the game. I don't think that's a spoiler.
That was in the trailers. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm very much like, it's a celebration of the PlayStation, but also all things gaming, just like Smash was. So
yeah, I think when we're both done the Astro Bot game, whenever that is, we can only game in our little 5 to 9 window. We should do a spoiler cast and really splurge about the little stories and highlights that we've been playing, because my partner and she's been watching, I was playing, and there are lots of times where it's like, where we were like both like, oh, I didn't know this guy was in. We were laughing at certain parts, and then there is stuff where she didn't know like whatever this character, and I got a chance to explain like the history and significance behind it. So yeah, stuff like that is really cool that this game lets you do.
Yeah,
like outside the game, I guess,
and
a meta game.
I mean, the one thing actually, since we're on that topic, the one thing that I did think of that I would actually appreciate if they added, or if it had been in the game, you know, from the beginning, is, you know, as we've talked about, you collect your Astro Bots, you do collect these special themed ones and everything that are, you know, characters from games and everything like that. And in sort of the main hub world, there is a place you can go and you can just view them like on kind of a grid where it shows you, you know, the empty spots where you haven't collected those ones and that kind of thing. I wish you could go to them there and it would actually tell you what they're from. I think that would, you know, just add a little bit more to make it that much more of a celebration. Obviously, it's exciting that they're there. It's exciting that, you know, you eventually can get little animations for them and little props that they interact with and stuff like that. But it would be cool if you could go there, you could click on them, see them, but then, I don't know, press triangle and it pulls up like a little blurb and it says, you know, this is, I'm just going to pick someone. I make no promises that they're in the game.
Mario.
It says like, yeah, okay, sure. That'll never happen. But wouldn't that be something? Holy cow. If that were like the final Astro Bot, I would lose my mind. I would pass away instantly.
secret level.
That's right. But yeah, you press triangle and it would say, you know, Mario, like just say his name and then maybe like either list the games they've been in or say first appearance, Super Mario Bros, you know, NES or Nintendo Entertainment System. Just like give us that little tidbit of, here's the factual information of who this character is, why their legacy is important, you know, what year it released would be cool, or what year their first appearance was, would be really cool. And I mean, maybe not for some people. Obviously, this is a game targeted at kids. Do they care? I don't know, but I know for me personally, when I was young and, you know, I played a game like Jack 3, where as you collected precursor orbs, you could unlock character viewers where you literally could just look at the character model and spin it and rotate it and zoom in, and it would play a little voice line as in the, you know, from the character talking as if the game were a movie that they had filmed. And I always thought that was so cool because it was such like a meta kind of thing, but I would spend so much time in there. You know, I talked about Kingdom Hearts last week. They had a similar thing where you've got Jiminy's journal, and you can go in and you can view all the characters. You can read their backstory. And if I'm not mistaken, there's actually also a line in the journal that says first appearance and tells you where they first appeared. And that isn't even exclusive to video games because obviously there's Disney characters in there. But so anyways, I'm literally pulling from my own history there, which just occurred to me. But I just would love to have seen that, just to kind of take it that one step further. But by all means, fantastic game.
I'll add in this to make sure that the publishers and the business people get on this. In that page where it lists what game they're from, add a little button that says go to PlayStation Store.
Yeah,
and
no
when
kidding.
you click it, it'll go there and you can buy the game right there.
Buy the classic game. Well, and you know what? The funny thing about that is, like, I know this is maybe a couple months back in the summer. Sony put up the first Sly Cooper on the PlayStation Store. You could just stand alone, buy the PS. It was like, I don't know if it was a remake or whatever, the PS2 version, but you could play it on your PS5. And previously, the only way to play Sly Cooper 1 was either on a PS2 or on the HD remaster that was the first 3 games. And that, of course, was locked to PlayStation 3. I literally had been playing that with my child on my PlayStation 3 over on the other side of that curtain behind me. But anyways, the point is, when they released that on the PlayStation Store and you could finally play it on PlayStation 5, all the hubbub on Twitter was, if you want to see another Sly Cooper, buy this game. It was like $13 or something like that. And all of the talk was, if you want to see a new Sly Cooper, show them that you want it, right? Support it. And you're right. Like, that would be great for sales, I'm sure, you know. I don't know if there is a Sly Cooper in Astro Bot. I have not gotten one yet. So there may or may not be, but wouldn't it be cool if you could, pull up Sly Cooper, press triangle, and it jumps to the store. And hey, you want to play the game, the first game that started this series? Here it is, right? So great idea.
Yeah. Yeah, Sony, I'm available.
Yeah, get
for
on it.
Any more great ideas? Keep listening. Audience listener, if you what's your like highlight of Astro Bot so far? If you're playing it, Jordan and I have been really enjoying it, and we are so excited to play more. Definitely on my to play list tonight. So if you are enjoying Astro Bot, let us know how and why in the comments below, and maybe without spoilers, tell us your favorite Astro Bot so far.
You want to tell me your favorite Astro Bot? DM me on Twitter at SirdrJM, SIRDRJM.
There you go. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what else is in the game. I can kind of predict what else is in the game, like
I'm sure
based on
some obvious ones you could guess, but I'm just gonna pull up this amiibo that I have right here. That another character I have not yet found, but I don't know if it's focusing. But
for audio listeners, it is an unfocused amiibo of Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy.
Very unfocused. Oh, it's trying. It's trying.
Is.
I actually, just blurry. since I've now brought this guy out, my one of my best friends just got back from Japan, and he bought me a Solid Snake from one of the Nintendo stores in Kyoto, I think. So
an amiibo?
Yeah, a Solid Snake amiibo.
Oh, yeah. Coolio. Yeah. When's the amiibo Astro Bot game? Anyways.
Oh man, that's what's next. You know they're gonna make a whole
amiibos
line of
come
these
back.
Things. Yeah.
Moving on to our next topic, a little bit of a follow up from last week. As you know, like 2 weeks ago now, I got to play the Black Ops 6 beta, the closed weekend. I personally didn't get to play too much of the second weekend. It was a pretty busy weekend for me. So I think I only did a couple matches, but my impressions are pretty much the same. So if you want to hear my impressions of the Black Ops 6 beta, go listen to last week's episode. But Jordan, you got to check out the Black Ops 6 beta this past weekend. What are your thoughts on Black Ops 6?
Yeah, I did jump into the beta this past weekend. It's one of the reasons I didn't get as far into Astro Bot as I wanted to. Of course, because I could play Astro Bot with and or in front of my child, but I will not play Black Ops in front of or with my child. So I was waiting until, the evening hours if I wanted to jump in. And of course, it was only available, I think, Friday through Sunday, maybe Monday. So I didn't get a ton of playtime, but I did get more than I expected, honestly. And I do think echo a lot of what you said. Overall, fun experience. It does feel, it kind of harkens back to how I feel like, or how I remember at least, the original Black Ops, maybe even COD 4 Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare, which is where my Call of Duty experience started. It does harken back to that, but also feels fresh and new, largely because of the Omni movement, new way of control that I think you talked about last week. The big thing that I was kind of surprised by, specifically in relation to the Omni movement, was it didn't feel as sweaty as I expected it to. I was really waiting for the dolphin flip-flopping people, 360 no scope while you're flopping through the air doing the worm or something. And I do think that a part of that is probably because I play on console. So you didn't get too much of that. There were certainly times where I was like, I don't know how that person hit that shot or got that kill, but they did. So I do think it's probably going to be a lot sweatier on PC where, you've got that mouse, that mouse flick to control your aim and everything. But overall, definitely took a little getting used to, but once you understand what you can do with it, it works. Honestly, it felt in some ways like an iPhone. I remember when iPhone got rid of that home button, the physical button, and everyone was worried that it would be so hard to navigate apps and things like that. And Apple has this way of designing things where once you know how to do it, once you do it once, you just know how to do it. And I think the best thing they could have done with this beta is exactly what they did, where they don't throw you into a training ground for here's how to shoot, here's how to peek, here's how to lean, here's how to snap to a target. They throw you into a training ground for here's 20 minutes of how to use Omni movement. Here's what you can do with it. Here's how you can jump off this ledge, run off this ledge, dive, but also spin around, do a complete 180, land on the ground on your back, and then shoot people. And that was really cool. really cool to see in game when someone, on Domination was one of the game modes that I played, and it's classic 3 separate capture points. You stand on the point to capture it for a little bit. And it was really cool. On one of the maps, it was kind of themed like a little strip mall. So there was like a Blockbuster style video rental store in it. And the middle point was in the middle of this kind of video rental store. And there were all these like counters where, you'd buy or rent a movie or whatever. And you would come in there to capture, and obviously it's captured by the enemy. So you have to capture it. And you almost wouldn't notice that someone was a living player because they weren't just laying in prone, right? Because normally in past Call of Duties, you're always, when you're laying prone, you're always on your stomach. You're laying, belly down, and you kind of do the army crawl, and you look around like that. And if you want to look behind you, you do a complete 180, and your body, shifts as if you're, I don't know, spinning the mouse on your desk kind of thing. But with Omni movement, of course, you don't do that. You actually rotate from your belly onto your back, and you can keep looking the same direction. So there were times where I almost didn't notice that a person was not just a dead body, because I wasn't expecting to see them laying on their back. You see them laying on their back, you go, oh, that's a dead guy. But no, in fact, they're pointing a gun at you, and then they get the kill. So it was very interesting, very exciting to kind of figure that out. There were, I think, more maps than the first beta weekend. I saw you looking around when I mentioned the Blockbuster.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
I don't know if you saw that map or not, but I also noticed that they opened more maps as the weekend went on. Because I played the first night, and I think you could actually see the map pool for the game modes. And I think there were only like 2 or 3 on the first night. And then on Sunday when I was playing, there were like 6 to 8 or something like that. So I don't even think I played all the maps. I did do some of the ones you had talked about, although I can't remember which. And that was probably, although I enjoyed all of them, I thought they were all a good size, pretty good layout and things like that. The one thing I kind of felt like I missed was I felt like, and again, I'm calling back to Modern Warfare original, COD 4, Modern Warfare Days, Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 2, that kind of thing. I felt like the old maps used to have more verticality to them, more levels that you could really play with. And although these maps, some of them had, a low ground and a high ground and kind of a middle, it didn't feel as dramatic as I felt like I'm used to seeing. And again, this is having not played a Call of Duty multiplayer in a long time. So I did miss a little bit of that. Felt a little more flat at times, but overall I enjoyed it quite a bit. I know I said the other week, like, they're going to have to do a lot to convince me to actually buy this game. I'm not there yet, but I enjoyed it a lot. I did. Cool. I did enjoy it a lot, and I am considering it. So,
moved up to considering.
That's right.
Yeah.
Although Xbox Game Pass.
That's true.
Maybe that's the play,
That's true.
Pay for a month and I can play it as much as I want. Anyways.
Yeah, no, the Blockbuster map, it took me a while to remember, but it's the one where it's like half inside, half outside. Trucks are going around. Yeah. And your point with the body laying backwards, that has definitely got me too. I didn't realize that, but yeah, you're so used to seeing like, if the body's kind of like flopped in a weird way.
If it's any position other than laying prone, it's a dead body. So you don't even look at it, right?
Yeah. And that has definitely caught me a couple ways. And I wonder what the meta will be like once people figure out, like, if they prone and then hide a certain way.
Prone and then change your gun constantly so your character is kind of hiding the gun. I remember doing that.
Yeah. And the funny dolphin dies. But yeah, actually, I know with the map verticality, now that you mention it, I do, like High Rise, the one in the original Black Ops in the Forest, there was a lot more verticality. So I wonder what the choice was to keep it mostly say one level.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the things, again, it's been many years since I really touched Call of Duty, but like, I remember going from COD 4 Modern Warfare to World at War, which I'm going to throw World at War out because bleh. But then Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 3, and then Black Ops 2, I think was the order. And Black Ops 2 is the one I touched the least, but all those other ones, it really felt like they kind of got crazier and crazier just in general. They really scaled up. And I remember Black Ops 1 was the one where it kind of took a bit of a step back. And it was like, okay, Black Ops 1 is what I wanted Modern Warfare 2 to be. It was, not everything wasn't super overpowered and just destruction at every turn and that kind of thing. But I do remember distinctly like certain maps, Favela, which I think was Modern Warfare. It was either 2 or 3.
I think that was 2.
Yeah.
I think so.
But then even going back to original Modern Warfare COD 4, one of the downloadable content maps, the DLC maps, it was either Creek or Creekside, but it had sort of a small town and this valley kind of thing. And I remember that one specifically because me and my friends would play split screen and we would play hide and seek. And, one person would go and sit somewhere looking at a rock in the village, and then the other two would go hide in the creek. And the person in the village would come over with their Barrett 50 cal and just try to pick them off, try to find them, right? And it was because you had those different layers and levels that you could really play with. And I did feel like I was missing that a little bit. But again, could be just the maps that they were giving. There could be a lot more to come. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're not $80 Canadian sold, but you are Game Pass sold.
Yeah. And if games still cost 60 Canadian dollars, maybe, I might just be in, but
yeah, I hope we jump into that alternate reality one day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, listener, what do you think of the Call of Duty open betas? We've had 2 betas, 1 open beta. What did you think? Like, are you convinced on buying Call of Duty this year? Do you buy Call of Duty every year and you're just whatever, I'm gonna buy it? Or are you gonna be like Jordan and I and maybe check it out on Game Pass, because that is a bonus feature, bonus opportunity for us as gamers now. Let us know your comments below. We would love to know. And with that impression, it brings us to the near end of our show, where we share our gaming recommendations for the week. If you only have 1 hour to 100 hours this week to play games, maybe take into consideration our recommendations. My recommendation this week, talked about it a lot. I'm excited to see where this social experiment goes. It is Byte Breakers by Odyssey Interactive. Obviously talked about it at the top of the show. It definitely isn't going to be a game for everyone, but chances are, if you're a gamer and listening to this podcast, you've probably played Smash and you already know how to play half the game of Byte Breakers. It's free. Go support an indie dev. Check it out. It is on Steam. I believe the playtest as of this recording is still up. So definitely check it out, and hopefully, we can see what this game equates to in the future, because it is an interesting rollout, and I am curious to see how this game evolves. Jordan, what about you? What's your recommendation for the week?
Well, I mean, the obvious recommendation is Astro Bot, but I think everyone and their grandma's telling everyone and their grandma to play Astro Bot if they have not. So definitely do that. But I'll shout out another game. Went on 2 different paths there. I'll shout out and say my recommendation for what you should play is the original Sly Cooper. If you were not a Sly Cooper fan, or if you never got into Sly Cooper, I definitely think start at the beginning, start with the first one, and if you enjoy the first one, play the second one, because the second one, they really did an Assassin's Creed to Assassin's Creed 2, where it's just that much. The second one expands on things that much more, and is that much better than the first. But the first does establish sort of the foundation. For me personally, this is getting into Schuster lore here. Sly Cooper is one of those games that, as a child, I could play over and over and over again. And like, to the point of, I actually think the characters and the story that they had is maybe one of the best in games in general. It's not super deep, but at the same time, it has some themes that really kind of run deep that I don't think a lot of people talk about. I won't, say too much because of some spoilers for big events that happened there. But it's so ingrained in me that there was one point in my life where I took a stab at writing a pilot episode for an animated Sly Cooper show. Now, did that go very far? No, it did not. I did not get very far with that. But that's how much I like the series. That's the only series I've ever attempted something like that with. So maybe I'll revisit that one day. Maybe you'll be seeing my name on the credits of the Sly Cooper animated series. But anyways, that's going to be my recommendation for this week.
Cool. Sly Cooper and Byte Breakers. Lots of choice this week. We live in an era of abundance of games to play. Speaking of games to play, next week's episode, I'm going to be bringing in a review of a really small indie game called Mexico 1921. I believe the full title, Mexico 1921, A Deep Slumber, created by Macula Interactive. And shout out to Pop Agenda and Macula Interactive for sourcing us with a key to be able to play this. I'm excited to play it. I love narrative games. I love photography games and just mystery. Like, come on. That's a Samson game right there. So expect that review next week. And if Jordan and I finish Astro Bot in this upcoming week, maybe we'll do a spoiler cast as well. Or maybe we'll save that for a special occasion because, yeah, we both are big Astro fans. Astro heads? I don't know what you called the Astro Bot fan club. Yep. Let us know what you think the Astro Bot fan club's name should be in the comments below. And thank you so much for listening this week. My name has been Samson. You can find me online at SamsonXP on all the socials. And Jordan, for you, where can people find you? I did a gesture with my hand, but you didn't see it.
I know you did, and I just wasn't sure if that's what that was. So
we're still figuring out our outro, guys. We just nailed our intro like last week. Outro, if you got this far, we're working on it.
That's right. You can find me on all socials at Sir Dr. JM. That's at Sir DRJM on all socials. Twitter's the biggest one where you can interact with me if you so choose. Like I said, DM me your favorite Astrobots. If it is a spoiler, that's fine. I'll suck it up. But yeah, DM me with that. Tweet at us and the show to let us know how you feel about Astrobot, about the Black Ops beta, or Sly Cooper. And yeah, have fun gaming.
Yeah, have fun gaming. The show's handle is at Grow Up Level Up, by the way. Just want to throw that in.
Yes.
And yeah, I think we're getting to be more active on threads too. So if you're a thread head, come on down. I hope that is not a slur or anything. So I apologize in advance. But have fun gaming. Have a great week, everybody.